Evelyn, do I need to stand on this? Just you? That's pretty good. Is this for me or you or Evelyn? It's got 2 minutes. Let everybody get here. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this year's senior speeches. We have many of them, a whole week's worth of senior speeches this week. So by way of introducing this idea of senior speeches, I'm always reading articles about something, right? Recently or at some point, you always wonder if a pastor says, recently I was reading something they actually did. But yes, recently I was reading something that said, I was talking about the world and how much it's changed. It could change, and whether or not schools 10 years ago they would say you couldn't make it if you didn't have like specific computer programming classes or certain kind of technical skills. And then here we are 10 years later, where companies are laying off thousands of computer programmers and stuff, and there's questions about what is the nature of what kids need to know and all that. Well, one thing that just stands the test of time and that we place value on, at Eastwood, is the art of speaking and communicating, whether it's memorizing things or, being part of our theater program or defending a thesis or being, as we've seen all the kids in first and second and third and fourth up here on stage, speaking, public speaking, right? Speaking and communicating will never go out of style. And so it's something we're really proud of. We're proud of these seniors and the things they're going to have to say. I'm proud that they're not afraid to get up here and share and speak with you. And it's something we'll continue doing at Eastwood as the time ebbs and flows. Speaking and being involved in rhetoric will always be in style with us, and we're thankful for that. Another thing we talk to them about is being interested and interesting. They hear that all the time from me. So they're going to share with you something they're interested about, and they're also very interesting people. I've enjoyed teaching them and look forward to hearing all the senior speeches this year. So today, in today's episode, you'll hear from Miss Evelyn Williams, Mr. Isaiah Jacobson, Ms. Yates Gunnels, and Mr. Jacob Worley. So Evelyn, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to the class of 2026's senior speeches. I'd like to start by answering a question I know all of you are probably thinking. Yes, I am in fact standing on a box. Despite being a towering 4'10", a box is sadly necessary for me to be seen over this pulpit. I wanted to start by telling you this so that while listening to my speech, you won't have to assume anything. Assumptions are ubiquitous, and they follow us around wherever we go. We are constantly making them about other people, and people are making them about us. For me, assumptions based on my height follow me everywhere, even to Europe. Something happened to me during the senior trip to Europe. While in Venice, we were going to tour the Doge's palace. This is where the leader of Venice resided and conducted business. While there, we were split into two separate groups for our tour. The guide started by handing out the small radios, and I put the earpiece in my ear as we began to make our way to the palace. She then starts telling us about the history of the architecture and of the city, but stops as we go through security to enter the building. I check my bag and walk through the turnstile and the metal detector without any issue. But then, as I pass through and into the courtyard, she looks at me and I hear through the radio, "Oh, look, it's a group of all ages." Now, maybe she was referring to the fact that we had parents, teachers, and teenagers in our group. But the fact that she made this comment as I, the 4'10" senior, walked past her made me think otherwise. And for the record, she wasn't the only tour guide to make a comment referencing my younger age. Airport security tried to put me in lines for kids under the age of 12. A tour guide in the Vatican thought Mr. Miller was my dad. And a tour guide in Florence thought I was the youngest in the group. And as I said, this doesn't just happen in Europe. People at church are always surprised to hear my age. Even the kids in the children's ministry don't believe me when I say that I'm 18. Even some of you in this room have probably made assumptions or jokes about my height. But look, none of our tour guides meant any harm in what they said, and I'm sure most of you didn't either. People have simply made assumptions about me based on my height before really getting to know me. Before we get to know someone, we often make broad assumptions about who they are based on what they look like, what they are wearing, or how they talk. When I walk into a room, the first thing people often notice is my height, and this can lead them to overlook and underestimate me. I've often wondered how many opportunities I've missed, or how many times I've been overlooked due to my height. Did I miss that scholarship because they didn't take me seriously or didn't think I could handle it? Have people not spoken to me because they thought I was younger? Sometimes these questions have led me to doubt myself and my abilities. These questions have made me afraid that I won't be able to make friends in college or get a good job. They've made me wonder how I can ever be a teacher like I want to if I'm going to be looking up at the students. And as much as I hate these feelings of doubt, I know that I've made assumptions about people or overlooked them simply because of their appearance. I too have failed to give people chances, and I've contributed to the very feelings of doubt that I hate. But when we give people chances, they often find ways of proving us wrong. Thankfully, not everyone has overlooked me, and I've been given chances to prove myself. My church has given me opportunities to serve in the children's ministry, despite being the same height or shorter than the fifth graders. I've also had the opportunity to be a main role in the play, despite being the same height as Katie James or a few heads shorter than George. And since people don't always expect much from me, I get to surprise them when I do my job well. And people are always surprised by my abilities to win hide and seek by hiding in small spaces and my abilities to reach the bottom shelf. But I'm not the only person to be underestimated because of their size. David was called by God despite his small stature and unimpressive appearance. When Samuel was called to anoint the next king, he expected the king to be one of David's many older, taller, and stronger brothers. Even David's father didn't think David stood a chance against his brothers. But when Samuel tries to anoint David's brother Eliab, God tells him, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. For people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." God didn't want a tall king or a strong one. He wanted a good one, and it didn't matter that he was younger than his brothers or smaller than them. David was a man after God's own heart. He put God first in his life, and at the end of the day, that is the true measure of someone's stature. Another important figure that taught me this is Jedi Master Yoda. Despite standing at only 2 feet tall, he was one of the most powerful Jedi, and despite being the size of a child, he was 900 years old. He trained many generations of Jedi during his long life, and his wisdom was treasured by all of them. But when Luke Skywalker went looking for a wise Jedi Master, he was surprised to find Yoda. Luke probably assumed that the great Jedi Master would be tall and strong. He also probably expected him to form logical sentences. But Yoda wasn't Luke's ideal Jedi. Yoda was small, wrinkly, and green, and he spoke in weird sentences. But despite Luke's assumptions, Yoda was a great teacher, just as Obi-Wan had said. He trained Luke intensely and taught him to use the Force. He even proved his own strength to Luke by lifting his X-Wing out of the murky swamps of Dagobah without lifting a finger. This showed Luke that you should never judge someone by their size. Through David, Master Yoda, and my own experiences, God has taught me to appreciate my height and all the jokes that come with it. When I was younger, it used to bother me when people cracked jokes or puns about me being hobbit-sized. But now I laugh with them and even make my own jokes. I've learned to enjoy the person that God has created me to be, even if that means being shorter than all my friends. And while there will probably always be people who overlook me, I've learned to treasure the people that don't. So why do I tell you this? Because some of you are just like me. You might not necessarily be the shortest person in your class, but we all have traits that make us feel different from everyone else. And whether it's because of your grades, your size, or your appearance, we all feel like we don't always measure up. We have all felt judged by people, but what's worse than feeling like society has judged you is judging yourself. God has made each of us with our own strengths and weaknesses. People may overlook you, but the Lord looks at the heart, and He loves you just the way He made you, so don't discount yourself. People may not give you chances, but give yourself chances. How do you know that you won't make the team unless you try out? How do you know that you can't run unless you run? If I had gone into every play audition thinking I couldn't get the role because I was too small, I may have never gotten the part. We can't control the way other people see us, but we can control how we view ourselves. And trust me, finding joy in the way God created you is so much better than constantly being disappointed in yourself for things you can't even control. And now I'd like to take a moment to thank some of those people who made me feel seen despite the fact that I'm less than 5 feet tall. To my class, thanks for reminding me of my size on a daily basis. I will genuinely miss you guys next year. Rachel and Joseph, you both have strongly influenced my walk with the Lord for the better, and I'm so excited for this summer. To all of my teachers, thank you for loving what you do. It's because of all of you that I too want to be a teacher. To Mrs. Geiger, I know that my size makes costuming for the play very challenging, but I'm thankful for all of your hard work. It never went unnoticed. Mrs. Givens, you have consistently been an inspiration and an encouragement to me. You have pushed me and challenged me to do hard things like running cross country, and these things have taught me so much about myself. Thank you for giving me so many wonderful opportunities. Aunt Danny, I'm very much your mini-me, and I'm proud every time someone says that I remind them of you. I'm so thankful for your constant love and support, and I hope that you can forgive me for not going to Auburn. Ma and Dad, I look up to both of you so much. I'm so thankful for all the afternoons we've spent together after school, both at your house and at play practices. I'm going to miss our weekly out-to-eat nights and having y'all so close by. Y'all are some of my biggest supporters in everything I do. Charlie, you've grown so much in the past few years, and I'm proud of the young man you've become. But I don't like that you're now taller than me. I'll miss your video game-related rants and your jokes. Don't stop being funny. Caitlin, you are beautiful, both inside and out. I'm going to miss sitting in your room and talking while listening to the newest Benson Boone or Taylor Swift album, and sorry for stealing your best friend sometimes. Mumi, I'm gonna miss talking about literature books and watching all the new Star Wars stuff with you. You're the only one in the house who understands my rants about Achilles, Heathcliff, and Sydney Carton. And let's be honest, we both know who the real Star Wars fans in the family are. You're always there to walk me through my struggles, and I'm gonna have to call you every day after school to tell you every tiny detail about my day. Daddy, thanks for all the laughs. We both share an appreciation for movies and theater, and I know that you're always one of my biggest cheerleaders during the play. You will always be my favorite IT guy, and I will probably be employing your services often in the future. I will always be your Braves baseball buddy. And don't worry, I'll call to tell you about my day too. And finally, thanks to all of you for listening to my speech. So, as you leave today, I want you to remember that whether you're 4'10" or 10'4", no matter what struggles you are facing, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you don't measure up to the world's standards. You have a God who loves you no matter how tall you are. And as Yoda says, size matters not. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about pasta. Most food speeches are usually about either making food or enjoying food, but today I want to tell you that I am the pasta. I will be showing you how my experience at Eastwood has been like being made into fettuccine. When we were in Florence for the senior trip, we had a class on Tuscan cooking. One of the things that we learned was how to make pasta. Now that I have professional training and am an expert on Italian staples, pasta is all I think about. The first step of being made into pasta is to create the dough. First, the chef makes a mound of flour and makes a hole in the center. He then puts the eggs into the middle and the salt and mixes them together with a fork. Once the eggs are fully whisked, he then mixes the flour with the eggs, a little bit at a time. After mixing them, he carefully kneads them into a soft dough. He keeps kneading it and working it until it is just the right consistency and springiness. This stage is like elementary and middle school when you are gaining the foundation for your later years of school. The teachers teach you basic things to build a strong base for the rest of your life. The ingredients are the things that you will need for the next stages. The flour is the simple but important concepts and facts that you learn. It is the basic components that are very important for your education, such as learning how to read and write, do simple math, and understand grammar. The salt is all the little experiences and interactions you will have with others. They are small, but they combine to help you become a mature person. They don't seem important now, but these little things give you your flavor. The eggs are what bring the ingredients together into a solid dough. Without the eggs, the dough would just be a pile of flour and salt. The eggs are the guidance that you receive from your teachers and parents. They make sure you learn the right lessons from your experiences. They bring together all you've learned and make it stick together. However, just mixing the ingredients is not enough to create a good dough. The dough has to be kneaded until it is the right consistency. Kneading the dough can seem tedious for the chef and look painful for the dough, but it's necessary to get all the ingredients to bind together. The teachers carefully knead basic skills into you during these years. They put time and effort into teaching you how to read and write. They constantly help and guide you to learning these things. It is not fun to be kneaded. You get crushed and folded around, but it is an essential part of growing up. Kneading the dough builds a network of gluten bands that is necessary for the dough to have elasticity and structure. It makes the dough soft and fluffy, which ensures that the pasta will have good texture. If the dough has the wrong amount of certain ingredients or isn't kneaded enough, it will make terrible pasta. Without this early stage, you would have nothing to work with in middle school and high school. The next step is to flatten and then roll the dough into a long strip. The chef folds the dough over and then cranks it through the machine. The machine has 2 rollers. The chef adjusts the distance between the rollers, and each time he puts the dough through, he sets it to a thinner setting. Eventually, it is rolled into a long strip that is just the right thickness to be made into pasta. This is similar to the early high school stage when things are beginning to get harder. The teachers are squeezing the information into you with the roller, and you are being flattened under the weight of tests and homework. You feel like you are getting squished by all of the assignments and extracurricular activities. It is difficult, but it is also a very important stage in the making of the pasta. If the pasta is the wrong thickness, it will not be strong enough to hold its shape. The texture will be too tough or too soft. Without the rolling or flattening, it is just formless dough. For the final step, you are put into the machine and shredded into pasta. The chef places the long strip into the machine and begins cranking it, carefully guiding it through. The teeth inside the machine cut the strip into the pasta noodles, which are now ready to cook and eat. This stage is like the final years of high school when you are doing senior thesis and struggling through senior year. You've gone through all the previous stages and are now prepared to be turned into a final product. You use all the things you learned from the previous years and apply them. You use the foundation and grammar that you receive in grammar school and combine it with the logic and rhetoric that you learn in middle school and upper school. After all this time and effort, you have been cut into thin strips. However, this is not the last step. In high school, the teachers have made you into a fresh pasta, but it is uncooked and not great on its own. It needs to be boiled, and it needs sauces and toppings to be truly enjoyed. These stages are yet to come. When you go to college or get a job, then you will be cooked and seasoned. You will be made into a full meal. You will get boiled and endure hardships that will shape you and change you. These things may be difficult, but they will make you into a better person who is prepared to take on challenges. You will get a sauce and toppings, which are the training and experiences that you will receive from your new job or college. Now that you have been made into a good pasta, there are many possibilities or dishes that you can become. I would now like to thank all the chefs in my life. First of all, I would like to thank my classmates. I couldn't have asked for a better class to go through school with. I would like to thank my teachers for guiding me and teaching me throughout the years and reading my bad handwriting. The teachers at Eastwood have been very supportive and helpful throughout my education, and I'm grateful for them putting so much effort into teaching us. I would also like to thank my mom. You are the best mom I could ask for. You are one of the toughest people I know. Whether you're riding 100-mile bike rides or kicking chihuahuas that are attacking us in Mexico, you have always been strong and a constant source of love and support in my life. I wouldn't be who I am without you. To my dad, you are a great father and one of the smartest people I know. Whether we are going camping and rock climbing or working together on drones for the Navy, you have always been there for me and been important for shaping me into who I am today. I'm also excited to have Hannah as a new part of the family. I would like to thank Miriam and Colin. You've been great siblings. We've been through a lot together. I love you, and I'm glad you're my brother and sister. To Bumla and Papa, thank you for being spiritual leaders in my life. You are funny and kind, and I love spending time with you, whether it's in California with all 1,000 of my cousins or in churches in Tanzania. You are doing great things for the kingdom of God in other countries, and I'm glad that I could be a small part of that. To Jay Grandma and Jay Grandpa, thank you for being such loving and kind grandparents. I enjoy working on models and flying RC planes and watching science fiction or Hallmark movies with you. I love you very much, and I'm excited to spend more time with you this summer. To the Stooges, I'm not sure how we became friends, but I'm glad that we did. I love spending time with y'all, and I'm thankful that you are such supportive and good friends. To Liam, thank you for being my best friend and always being there for me. You are hilarious and fun, and I'm glad that we are going to college together. And also, thank you to the best 10th graders. You know who you are. And last but not least, I'm eternally grateful to the Bible teachers, Dr. Bloodworth, Dr. Atkins, and Mr. Schmidt. When I first came to Eastwood in 7th grade, I was in a dark place, and the Lord used your teaching and instruction to bring me to Him. Thank you to all these chefs for making me into the pasta that I am today. And thank you to everyone here, whether you are dough, pasta, or a fully finished dish, for listening to my speech.
If you know me, you know I'm a pretty outgoing person. But if you know me well, you know that I'm actually a pretty angry person. It does not take a lot for me to become frustrated. However, my anger issues were the worst when I was in elementary school. My siblings can tell you I was awful. I would bite my sisters, time them while I counted to 10 so they would run and get me things, and the worst of all, guard the top of the stairs until they would guess the password and then push them down anyway. My parents, bless their hearts, saw my awful behavior and decided that there was only one thing that could save an angry small child from going down the wrong path, and that was sports. My parents put me in soccer when I was in 2nd grade. Of course, all of us being 2nd graders, we were not very good. But all of the running around and kicking of the ball I was doing was saving my siblings from a very similar treatment. I was beginning to get pretty tall, and so my parents decided to put me in a tall kid sport in the 4th grade, and that was volleyball. I began volleyball at CCJ in the 4th grade. This was the first time I had ever been on a team, and suddenly I had a focus. I was a part of the team. The whole concept was new to me, but something I found joy in. I loved my team and found myself making friends. Suddenly, I was no longer harassing my sisters, stuffing dirty socks in their mouths. Katie James, I'm sorry. But practicing my passing outside. I was becoming driven to do something other than torment my sisters. As time went on, I became better. Not much better, but better. I moved on from the CCJ League and began to play at the YMCA. Now, this was the first time my abilities had ever been judged by other people. I mean, of course my parents had judged me, but they did not count because they are my parents. And after years of playing at the YMCA, I finally upgraded. I found myself at the pinnacle of sports. I found myself at the next level. I mean, forget the YMCA, this is where stars are born, where legends are made. I had finally made it to the big leagues, the Eastwood JV volleyball team. I was playing middle and nothing could stop me. I mean, not to brag, but I was basically the underhand serving champion. I mean, I could ace all the other little homeschool teams like 4 times. Yeah, that was my prime. But that team was very important to me because it was my first time playing a sport at Eastwood. I was new to the school and did not know people very well, and this team made me feel at home. I came to practice every day after school, and I had fun at practices, laughing and joking with my friends. And the away games, even though we never went more than an hour away, made our team feel like professionals. And this is the year I also met someone who shaped me into the volleyball player I am today, and has encouraged me as well as made fun of me until I cried. Laughter or real tears, it just depended on the day. Coach Margaret. I guess I still do not know why Margaret decided to choose me to start on varsity as a 9th grader. I mean, I definitely would not have chosen myself. But she did, and she gave me the confidence and courage to try out for club volleyball. Now, I do not know if anyone here has ever played club volleyball, but these girls are good, like really good. I mean, I'd never played with girls from big schools before, like Prattville or Wetumpka. These schools are basically college-sized. Girls on my team junior year were already talking about colleges that had reached out to them concerning a commitment. Now, I had never doubted my volleyball ability before, but I had never thought that I was bad at volleyball. But suddenly, I was questioning my ability, my talent, and weirdly enough, even my self-worth. Why hadn't any colleges reached out to me yet? Was it because I missed that hit in the game film? Was I not tall enough, strong enough, good enough? Then I finally got my first recruitment email. Now, this email was from a very small school somewhere in the middle of Maine, but it still triggered an emotional roller coaster. I had always just assumed that the reason I have played volleyball, developed my skills, moved teams, and just kept going was to eventually play at the highest level, college. As time passed, I continued to get more emails from smaller schools that I could have attended, but they were not somewhere I really wanted to go. Suddenly, practice became about comparison. It became about worth. It was no longer a fun place to go, but a place of stress and exhaustion. I wanted so badly to feel like I was good enough to play at a college level that I gave up many other things in order to achieve that goal. I stopped studying for tests because I had volleyball, and I stopped hanging out with my friends because I needed to be at volleyball. And worst of all, I started to believe that if I could not play volleyball in college, I had wasted my time, my money, and my life on something that will not bring me anything. I was defeated. I mean, why does anybody do anything if they do not get something out of it? If I gave all of myself to this sport, I expect something to be given back. I wanted a reward for all of my hard work. I wanted to go play in college. If what I was pouring into volleyball was not good enough to get me to my goal of a college career, why did I even try? If volleyball did not make me good enough, why did I do it? A few months later, I was talking to my college advisor and secret best friend, Miss Minshew, about a potential college that I was going to attend for volleyball. She looked me right in the eyes and said, "Yates, why do you want to go to this college?" And I answered with tears in my eyes, "Because I have to." After this, tears began to flow. I had bottled up all my emotions regarding my future, all of the change that was approaching, and things I could not control. The only thing that had ever remained constant in my life was volleyball. I mean, it was something I knew. It was something I was good at. I had to continue playing because what if I'm not good at anything else? What else could I do? Now, Miss Minshew waited for me to calm down, or at least until I could look at her without crying, and told me something I knew deep down was true. She said, "It's okay to leave this part of you behind. You have learned so much from volleyball, and just the fact that you found joy in it made it so worth it." Then I remembered that I hadn't started playing volleyball to get a scholarship or prove myself to others. I started playing volleyball to meet people and grow closer to my teammates, to challenge myself and grow as a person, to grow in sagacity and leadership, and finally enjoy myself and fellowship with others. There was nothing that any scholarship or lack of scholarship could do to change that. All of the long practices and late night games were not fun, but the people who made me laugh and enjoy it were. Volleyball has taught me to be confident in the things that I am good at. It has taught me to be a leader and a good example to those around me. All of the conditioning, training camps, and weekend tournaments were hard, but because they were spent with people who brought me joy, they became fulfilling. In life, there will always be something that you think you deserve. There will be things that you put so much effort into, expecting to get something you want out of it. For me, it was a spot on a good college volleyball team. Instead of gaining a spot on a college team, I gained humility and leadership. I learned how to handle disappointment, and I learned that I will not always get what I want in life. While what I gained from volleyball may not have been what I thought I deserved, it was something that I will cherish and use for the rest of my life. I have learned that you do not have to be afraid to put your all into something, because if you enjoy it, that is enough. God gave me the opportunities and abilities to play the sport I love for 9 years of my life. He gave me new friends, new influences, and a new community I could not have gained from anywhere else. That does not seem like time and effort has been wasted to me. Now I'd like to take some time to thank those who God has put in my life that have encouraged me and brought me joy over this year of change. To my class, y'all have made me laugh, and y'all have made me cry, and y'all have definitely been some of the best classmates I could have ever asked for. Thank you all for 5 great years at Eastwood and for all the memories I will never forget. Y'all are so weird, but I love you all very much. To Miss Amanda, thank you for literally holding our school together. You pour so much of yourself into this school, and you deserve so much more credit for the behind-the-scenes work you do. I love you, and thank you for pretending not to see me walk into school every day 5 minutes after the homeroom bell has rung. To Miss Minshew, thank you for being there for me this school year. Honestly, my thesis would have been awful if it wasn't for you, and your constant optimism and strength does not go unnoticed to me. You are such a beautiful picture of God's love and service, and keep being a person at this school who builds others up and empathizes with your students. I love you, and thank you for not making me go back to Miss Amanda after I walk into your homeroom class every day, 5 minutes late. To JC, Anna Wamstead, Adam Kopic, Lily, and my Young Meadows family, thank you for inviting me and accepting me into your church's youth group. I truly would not be where I am today with my walk with Christ if it wasn't for y'all. I always know I have a place I can go, whether I'm having a great week or a rough week. Continue to display and embody God's message of drawing others in, because it completely changed my life, and I love you all very much. To Coach Margaret, I remember when we both first came to Eastwood. You were a new coach and I was a new student. I feel like we have both grown together throughout these past 5 years. You have taught me what it means to be tough, what it means to be a leader, and what it means to be a good friend. You have truly made an impact on my life, and I am forever grateful for meeting you. You are one of my best friends, and I can't wait to watch you in the team next year. I love you and promise to start answering your texts. To my grandparents, Cece, Charlie, Honey, and Pop, thank you for being the funniest, loudest, and coolest grandparents ever. You have encouraged me in the Lord since I was very little, and I am forever grateful for your influences on my life. I will always cherish our Thanksgivings, Memorial Days, and Christmases together. I am excited for what this new chapter of my life will bring, but I know that I will always run back to y'all for support. I love you very much, and Roll Tide. Katie James, I know I make fun of you and annoy you more than anybody else in the world, but I also love you so much more than you could ever think. You are one of the smartest people I have ever met, and you are going to be the one to get our family famous. Never stop being you. Lulu. Oh, okay, sorry. I am so lucky to have a sister who is for me and not against me. You have always been in my corner for everything, and have threatened to fight many people for me. You are the funniest person I have ever known. I mean, not as funny as me, but you're close. And I love you so much for everything you have done for me, and I will miss you both very much next year. To my mom, I know you are the best mom in the world, and I know I am the most difficult daughter in the world. Since I was little, you have taught me to stay true to myself and to not be swayed by what other people think. You have taught me that a woman can be both feminine and strong, funny and smart, and assertive and gentle. You have helped me through some of the most difficult times in my life by just listening to me instead of being quick to judge. And this is a trait that has and will truly shape the way I view other people and myself as I go through life. I'm only going 2 hours away, so please don't be too sad. I love you. And finally, to my dad, I hope I do not get emotional saying this part of my speech, but if you have ever witnessed my dad give a speech, you know I probably will. Dad, me and you are so much alike in so many ways. We both have strong opinions, a need to be in control, low patience, but so much love for our family and for each other. You have taught me to take responsibility for my mistakes, and you have taught me to stand up for myself. You have taught me how to be a loving sister and a hard worker. Watching you stand up for those who do not have a loud voice has inspired me to do the same. You brought me into volleyball and have walked me through all of the steps it takes to be a good teammate. I am so grateful for all that you have poured into me, and you are the blueprint of a godly husband, a loyal friend, and the best father I could ever ask for. I love you. Over this past year, I have had to learn to accept change, to let things go and to move on. I've had to learn that not everything you want is going to be what actually ends up happening. But most importantly, I have learned that even though my competitive volleyball career is coming to an end, I do not regret a single time I put effort into it because it has brought me joy in a community, and that is never a waste. Thank you.
Growing up in Alabama, I have learned that there is one choice you make that defines your entire life. One choice that decides who your friends are, who your enemies are, and even what job you might have. That choice is between Auburn and Alabama. Two teams with long histories of legendary championships, historic game winners, and heated rivalries. Both are great options when picking a team to root for. And when it came time for me to make my choice, I knew who I would pick: the Kentucky Wildcats. The team, who hasn't won anything meaningful since I was 4, and whose basketball arena is named after a guy named Adolf. You may be wondering, why Kentucky? Me too. They're not a football school, which is all people care about in Alabama, and they're not even good at basketball anymore. This is sadly true. The reason I chose the Wildcats is because of my dad, who grew up a UK fan. And throughout the years, we have experienced a roller coaster of emotions between inconsistent football seasons and predictable basketball meltdowns. Oftentimes, we are left disappointed by our teams, whether we had high hopes for the season and fell short, or we had low expectations and somehow we still underperformed. Back in 2024, I thought Kentucky basketball was back. We had come off a first-round loss to St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament, so I knew we would respond with a strong bounce-back season. And Coach John Calipari did the only thing he knew how to do, which was recruit. Coming into the next season, we had one of the greatest recruiting classes of all time, including the #1 recruit, Justin Edwards, a 5-star duo from New Jersey, DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw, 4-star point guard, Rob Dillingham, and the #1 player in Kentucky, Reed Sheppard. I was convinced this was the year we would return to glory. Throughout the season, we dominated. While Bradshaw, Wagner, and Edwards struggled to prove their 5-star status, Rob Dillingham and Reed Sheppard quickly became one of the best backcourt duos in the country. Then came time for the SEC tournament. We had locked up the 2 seed, and so we were granted a double bye in the tournament. After the initial rounds, our first game was set to be against Texas A&M. I knew that we would breeze right past them and into the semifinals. We lost 97-87. But no big deal. No one even cares about the SEC tournament because all that matters is the real tournament. We were lucky enough to be selected as the 3 seed, facing 14-seeded Oakland, which I didn't even know was a college. Everyone expected it to be a blowout win for us. It was not. Some guy named Jack Golke decided to become the best 3-point shooter in the world, and he led Oakland to an 80-76 victory over the Kentucky Wildcats. My only comfort was that Auburn had lost to Yale that same day, so my misery had company. You may be wondering, how could this possibly relate to my experience at Eastwood? Allow me to explain. Like Kentucky basketball, I expect myself to do well in school. Every year, my parents tell me that I would get straight A's if I just did my homework, but despite these warnings, I fall short of what I know I could achieve. I always got good grades in elementary school. I wouldn't even have to study for the tests. So when I reached the upper school, I assumed this would continue. In 8th grade, we took ancient history with Mr. Teal. He was a great teacher, and I loved his class. He did, however, give us homework. At the start of the year, I didn't bother to do it, as I was able to keep my grades high with good test scores. But as the year went on, the zeros started to pile up. At the end of the year, my grade was in the 60s, and I realized how bad it had gotten. Mr. Teal emailed me, noting my poor grade due to the missing homework. He graciously allowed me to go back and do all of the assignments for half credit, which brought my grade into the low 80s. And while we're on the topic of disappointment, I'm still not done talking about Kentucky. The first season I told you about, while disappointing, was still a fun season to watch. But there are some seasons best forgotten. Post-COVID sports was a weird time. The previous NCAA tournament had been canceled, and so many fans were eager for a new season of basketball. And being the loyal Kentucky fan I was, I once again knew that this was our year. We had the #1 recruiting class in the country, led by one of the best scorers in the nation, Brandon Boston Jr. The second game of the season was a regularly scheduled cupcake game at home against Richmond. We came out flat, lazy, and looking like garbage. We suffered an embarrassing home defeat by 12 points. The rest of the season was a pain to watch. After our first game, we went a month without winning another. We were so bad that year that we didn't even make the tournament. We finished 9-16. In 10th grade, I had a class that felt like this terrible season. You may think it was the rigorous tests of honors biology, maybe the devastating papers in late European literature, but you'd be mistaken. At the time, this class was viewed as an easy A, and for many, this was the case. I mean, there's no way you could find yourself bombing in current events. You are literally living through them. Well, in 10th grade, I did it. Current events was a class that seemed more like a chore at the time. Most of the time, I would zone out in the back of class, not paying attention to the teacher. This led to me not knowing what my homework was or when it was due. There were no tests, so the only grades in this class were these homework assignments. Unfortunately, I didn't seem to realize this, so I had a lot of zeros in the grade book. This led to me ending the year with a C in probably the easiest class of all time. Kentucky's failures have a lot in common with my own, and there's one main reason. I could say that it was the players' lack of experience, bad coaching, or some other excuse, and those are fair arguments. But the real reason is because they never seemed to learn from their mistakes. With the exception of our 2012 team, which had the greatest college basketball player of all time, Anthony Davis, Kentucky hadn't won a championship since the 90s. Every year with John Calipari as our coach, we would do the same thing, recruit 6 or 7 talented freshmen and expect them to handle carrying the team to a championship. Every team has the talent to win it all, but each team loses focus and finds itself going home early, only to try the same exact thing next year. We came close a few times, but the result was always the same: disappointment. Insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. By this logic, John Calipari should have been put in a straitjacket. But hey, now we got a new coach, so maybe things will be different next year. This is what I've realized my time at school is like. Obviously, I've done well enough to get by, seeing as I'm about to graduate. But it seems like every year there is something, some class, project, or paper that I lose focus on. This loss of focus leads to a poor performance, and often a poor grade. And how have I responded to this behavior? By doing it again the next year. The problem isn't that I struggle learning. The problem is that I can't seem to learn from my own mistakes. At the end of every school year, after seeing how my behavior has caused me to slip at the end of the year, I promise myself that next year I will do better. Next year, I will sit down and read every chapter of my assigned books. Next year, I will study for all of my Miller tests before the morning of. Next year, I won't write the entire second division of my thesis the night before it's due. As you can probably guess, those promises were empty. I will probably even make those same promises before college. Insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. By this logic, I should be in a straitjacket. But hey, I'm going to college, so maybe things will be different next year. Probably not. Now for some thank yous. First, to the teachers. Thank you for being so interested in your students and for making school enjoyable. No other schools make Roman shield formations, let their students have their own breakfast chapel on Star Wars Day, and celebrate Guy Fawkes by having a bonfire during break. To my class, I have enjoyed every single moment with you guys. Some of you I've known since kindergarten, and some only since 10th grade. Forever long I've known you. I hope to know you from now through the rest of our lives. To my family, even though I spend half of my time in my room, I love y'all. To Hannah and Emmy, I know you guys are probably so sad I'm moving out because it's going to be so boring at home without me. I hope you can find some form of entertainment while I'm gone. To Charlotte, since you've been at college, I don't have someone to pick on Hannah with at home. It's slightly less boring without you, but I'm glad you're moving back to Montgomery. To Mom, I'm so thankful for the fact that you put so much effort into our family. Every morning you make sure all of us are up and ready to go, and I'm going to sleep in so much next year without you waking me up. To Dad, thank you for helping me be a better man. Every time I start to slip up, you are there to point out my shortcomings and help me get through them. I'm going to miss watching Kentucky with you on Saturdays and yelling at the TV. So what have I learned from this speech? What I have learned is that I have to learn because I sure haven't learned yet. Just like Kentucky, we try to be optimistic for the future. But I hope that instead of being like me, you will learn from your mistakes so you can be sure that your future is a success. Go Big Blue.
Well done, first day of senior speakers. There's only 4 more days of speeches to read and perform. One of the things that is true about classical Christian education is that the classical part means we believe that every part of the past has value and meaning, that there isn't a point in history that the divine gospel is not in charge of. Sometimes we can get a little too bogged down on what's happening right now. What are important things? Liam, were you just shushing me? Were you literally just shushing me? Some people are ready to graduate earlier than others. And some of our students are more... Anyway, so, back to my brilliant point. My point is, hopefully you heard from these speeches, and you will hear from these speeches, that you will realize that everything that happens, everything in this world, is a part of the same story, a part of the same message, a part of the same glorious gospel. And so whether it is disappointment at sports, or whether it is anthropomorphic foodstuffs, whether it is green puppets or the 15th best team in the SEC, every part of that is a part of God's plan and a part of your story and the ultimate story of this very creation. And so we look forward over this week to hearing different examples from our students about how their story connects in small and broad ways with this whole creation around us. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to close us in prayer, then you'll be dismissed. Please congratulate the people on their speeches. They've deserved it. They want me to stop talking right now so they can get all of this over with. But once you've congratulated them all, if you would please clear out because tomorrow's round has to practice and they're already getting nervous right now. So if you would please bow your heads with me and I'll close this in prayer. Gracious, glorious author of all, Heavenly Father, your goodness extends to all areas of our life. In our sins, you forgive us and teach us. Lord, we celebrate each time one of your people, one of your images, grows in you. We celebrate as we all grow. Lord, we ask that you bless us all here, that we all may learn to see our lives and all creation in the form of the ultimate story you have planned for it. Bless us all this day, guide us. May this school finish up the year strong, celebrate accomplishment, and delight in the glory of your creation. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Congratulations.